Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes
October 1st.
We smash it 10 yards tonight.
The buck we call Pickles.
A south wind pushing us back to the zag.
Got her stand on our backs.
Set it out and see what happens. You on it?
Alright.
Got the air going out of me.
Absolutely drilled him.
And boom, he's that good buck.
Go get my buck, then we're gonna go get homie's buck.
Urban piece as hell.
Got him. Pickles is dead.
Kevin Gates, both kills on hanging hunts.
My first public land buck.
Nice work, dude.
Look at that. Triple brow on the right.
I'm digging that.
Bucked out October 28th. An absolutely incredible season.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes. Episode, I don't know how many, and you get to listen to me and homie the whole time. So if you just want to click the stop button right now and just say that you didn't listen, no problem. But we might throw some at you that you might want to hear. We're talking about some summer trail cam tactics. Let's get them people make this possible. We're going to get in with the show. Let's start off with Exodus. What you got, Home Slice?
Yeah, Exodus Outdoor Gear, guys. They just released a video on their YouTube channel that is pretty cool. They have public land trail camera sets, and it's the quest for public land booners. Believe it or not, there are some places where public land booners do exist. This is a project that Cody and I kind of were involved with here a couple years ago with them, and I'm excited to see some of these trail cams that some of the bucks that are on these trail cams out here on these public lands, all through Exodus trail cameras. So if you guys are looking for that 5-year no BS warranty, theft and damage coverage, basically your perfect public land cam, you can check that out at ExodusOutdoorGear.com.
All right, I got Right On Optics, guys. If you're looking for any optic for any kind of gun, pistol, AR, shotgun, muzzleloader, they got you covered. Up and down accessories, scopes, lights, whatever you need, you can check them out on rightonoptics.com. That it?
That's it.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to dive in deep on our trail cam strategy for the summer. I know you might have heard this on other podcasts, seen it on other people's stories. It's a hot thing right now. It's what everybody's doing for deer season. I guarantee you that ours is 100% different than most of the stuff that you've heard or seen. So stick around through the episode. Might change your mind, might not. Maybe at least hopefully pick up something that might change your game a little bit. So let's get right into it, man. What you got?
Yeah, so I've got a list here of some positives and some negatives of running summer trail cameras. And if you guys have been following us or listening to the show here for a hot minute, you guys know that the last couple years, the last probably 3 years, like every year, we're just getting later and later and later putting trail cameras out. And I want to say last year, it was like July 31st, like, the first weekend of August, we were literally putting cameras out. I know the year before that was like July 4th. We went out to the new lease across from the road there and hung stands because it was the day after July 4th. And then we had PT on cam out there, so I knew, and that was dated July 7th or the 9th. So I know it was super early that we had cams out there. And then the year before that, we're hanging cams when we're putting a food plot in June, so we're just getting later and later, guys, and hopefully by the end of this you kind of understand why we're getting later and later, and hopefully some points come across here. So I don't know if I'm going to go back and forth, positive, negative, or just run through them, but here we go. I'll start off with the positive is you can keep tabs on a buck pretty damn good because he's going to be pretty patternable here in the summertime. So I would say that that's a positive because you're most likely going to be getting a lot of pictures of this buck, and he's going to be not venturing off too far. He's going to be most likely on a food source, or if you do have a scrape opened up, I'll get into that a little bit later, but you can keep tabs on him, and he's going to be doing almost the same thing every day, regardless of wind and such of those things that we seem to get real technical about when it comes time to hunt. But here in the summertime, doesn't seem to matter too much. He's going to be in the general vicinity of your piece during this time. What you got to spin off that there, boss?
Yeah, I think that's true. I feel like the bucks are easier to get on cam this time of year. They're bachelor grouped up. You can see them from the road. Got a good idea of where the deer are. You know where the food sources are right now. They're on a certain food source every year this time of year, and I feel like there's low pressure, so there's a lot more. They just move a lot more. I mean, you see deer out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, random as hell, on the edge of a field feeding, and you're like, God, this wouldn't happen any other time of the year than right now. So I believe it's a really good time to go out and get really good pictures of deer, bucks.
My second point is, you kind of mentioned there, but it's lots of daylight activity. You're gonna be getting a lot of pictures, just like Cody said there, at noon, 1 o'clock. You'll get them 4 or 5 hours before dark coming out, and that kind of really gives me at least a false sense of hope. And because you're like, oh man, it's daylight, which is really what matters when season comes around, and it kind of gives you a false sense of hope so early in the year, but it makes you feel good that you got a camera in probably a pretty decent spot. You've obviously scouted this area to hunt it, and but I just don't like how I wouldn't say last year because it worked out on pickles, but the previous 4 years before that, how you get deer on cam and then it comes time to hunt and the shit's totally different. So you're going to get lots of daylight activity, but don't get attached to that false sense of hope that comes along with getting all the big velvet bucks on cam.
Yeah. You can, like I said, this is the easiest time of the year, I think, for someone to get trail cam pics, especially if you're in, a state that can bait or mineral. That's just, you're going to get an ass load of pics. Every angle, you're going to get jacked up. You're going to get fired up. And like you said, if he's there daylighting, you could get a false sense of, man, I'm going to be able to kill him right here on this bait site or right here on this mineral site when season comes. And not saying that you won't be able to, but more than likely he's going to make a move and you're not going to be able to. But
yeah, I just want to say that, this is just for us starting October 1st. We can't do anything in August or September. So this is just us starting October 1st here in Illinois. No feed or mineral allowed. And that devastates me every year. But we don't have that expense. I'll go with a negative here. And you know what the number one negative is of summertime trail cams is them damn grass picks. But because that is such a bad negative, and like Cody likes to hunt in spots around the CRP grass and stuff, and so maybe it's just more of a localized problem for us because this is kind of just the properties we tend to gravitate towards. And but I have a solution. I got me I want to say it's an 18-inch machete for Christmas. I put it on the list just for this shit, and I'm ready to break that thing out here when it comes time. I'm done messing around with the grass, and just burning up an SD card for no reason.
I'm gonna hit it with another negative. The only notes that I took for this show over the past 4 years that we've been running cams, heavily, more cams than we ever have. We've had 5 cams stolen early season, not total, but early season, 4 cards and 4 cams, 3 or 4 cams that were messed with. I can't remember the number, but I know 5 cams stolen, 4 cards stolen, 3 to 4 cams that were checked and put back and messed with. And those were all early season cams. So that really burns me that you go out there, it's hot as hell, the bugs are bad, the grass is tall, you put the work in, you hang these cams, the guy steals the cam, okay, like maybe the guy wants more cams to hunt. But when they steal the card or check the card, that is the absolute laziest thing that a guy could ever do, in my opinion. I would rather see the whole entire cam stolen than that, because it just burns me so much, because you're really excited to get to that cam, and you get like the one all the way in the back that you thought no one would mess with. And you get the cam messed with, and it didn't take any pictures. Baloney. It took pictures up to when the guy checked it, and then nothing.
Yeah.
And then it's got you walking up, it needs the code put back in so to take pictures.
It's a paperweight.
You just walked all the way back there to pull this data, and you don't have any data, and then that same cam got stolen. It's just that late season. If we added up the cam stolen late season, it would be insane. But that card got pulled early season, and it is in a remote spot way back in there, really hard to get to, extremely long distance from anything. You go back there. It was hotter than hell that day, and I went back there and got that cam, and it was for nothing. It's just that's the worst thing. I'd rather have grass picks than that. And
yeah,
I feel like what it is there's a guy out there scouting that area in summer, and I don't know what it is. Maybe he hasn't killed a lot of big bucks. Maybe he's just a selfish person or whatever, and he wants to get that data for free. So he sees this cam sitting there, and he's just like, man, if I pull this card, I can get all this data for the whole entire year to see if I want to hunt this early season or not. And they pull that card, and with a lot of our cams, their security code. I love when someone steals a cam and they literally can't do anything with it.
It's the greatest thing.
You're like, dude, just chuck that thing in the river, because you literally just stole a cam and you cannot do anything with that thing. You got to have the code. There's no way to reset it. Or they steal a mobile cam that's attached to your account and you mark it as stolen. You're like, okay, good try activating that thing next year. It's going to come up that you stole it because it's stolen. I mean, but yeah, I just want to go on a little rant on that. And I feel like early season is just early season and really late season. That's when those cards get stolen. And I don't know how many times I've walked past the cam early season, and it doesn't even dawn on me that I would want to pull that card. And it's because it's cheating. It's
it's because you've been out there, you've put the work in, probably what's going to be on that camera. It's not just going to be some unicorn out there, but that's because you've put the work in and you've done your homework. So it doesn't matter, because you have this shit out there yourself. You know what's going on out there.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that, we've had a lot of people walk past our cams, and we had one guy take pictures with our cam and post it on Facebook. We were like, that's ours.
Yep,
Thanks for not stealing it, bro. But we've had more people walk past them than take them. But there's always that the other grass piece. I had all those cams out there running all early season, went in there, put the work in, and then I go in there and all three of them are gone. And you're just like, then you're left with one, and you're like, man, come on. And I went in there this winter, and there's the guy put a cam locked onto a tree, and the lock's still on the tree, and the cam's gone. I'm like, so there's just a repeat offender in there, just breaking cams and taking data so someone doesn't go in there and hunt. That just makes me think that there's a giant in there, but there's no sign at all. It's a zero sign, but we know that.
I was like, we're used to that.
Case,
that's just exactly what happened last year. Just get it on the road, and if other than that, you're not gonna probably be able to get anything tucked in there to get some intel from. Just all gonna be from the road. Yeah. Okay, well, moving off of that negative, I'll move into a positive. A lot of you guys out there are tinkerers. You like to get some new gear. You like to tinker with shit. You got the rope on the bottom of your stand. Always adjusting something on your bow. We don't do this necessarily too much, but one thing you can do is you can try some different things in a scrape in the summertime just to liven it up a little bit. We have used some piss in the past, but last 5 years, we just open up the scrape, and if we have to pee in it, if we have to pee, we'll pee in it. If not, just roughing up that dirt, we'll get that scrape opened up, and then bucks will start hitting it, and the does as well. But you can try a rope in there. You can try some attractant. Some people are starting to use vanilla in there, and also some hemp rope. So there's a lot of different options and different things you could do with a scrape in the summertime, just to see if they prefer one thing over another, or this area over something else, to kind of cure everybody's tinkering mindset with everything. So I would view that as a positive. Like, you're not just going to...
A buck just fell off the wall, bro.
A buck just fell off the wall?
Yeah, did you hear that?
No.
Holy shit.
I seen your eyes light up.
Just fell off the wall. Yeah. Go ahead, continue. I'm going to go pick him up. Right, broken half.
So, I feel like that's something you guys can do just to liven it up and try something out if you hear somebody doing it and having some sort of success. But Cody already mentioned this, but I had this on the positive side, is the bachelor groups. Like, usually if you're going to get one buck, you're going to have a group of, 3 to 4 to 5. I've seen a lot of pictures with 5 bucks in it. And, but there also is West Side. I was thinking about, when I put this down, I was thinking about West Side, and that deer has always been alone, and probably will never even seen another buck from the amount of trail cam pictures and videos we have of him just by himself. And one thing that I was thinking about with the bachelor groups here in the summertime is, when Cody killed his public land buck in 20, we had seen Magnum the day before and made that move. And then, lo and behold, the next morning it's Huffy, the buck that was running with Magnum in the summertime. So I don't know if there was just a coincidence or any correlation there, but that is one thing that I remembered when I wrote this down, is that they were in the bachelor group in the summertime, and then in a 24-hour period, they both come on the same trail in season there. So something to, probably not bank on, but something to just put in the back of your mind, like, oh, hey, yeah, this buck just come through, maybe in the next 28 hours, this other buck will come through, the one that I want or something. So I would say that the bachelor groups are definitely a positive.
Yeah, I would agree. One thing I'll add there is,
how's your deer?
It's good, yeah.
Which one was it?
It was the October 9-pointer. October 15th. Yeah.
Damn.
He landed the backside down, so nose up. It's a full sneak, so I don't know how it happened.
I would say about as perfect as he could have landed.
Yeah. But one thing that I feel like is people are going to be thinking about this is, they want to see if their buck lived, the buck they're after. So they get them out there early. They're excited to get out there and see if he lived. We take them at a different note, and we bank on them living if we got their sheds or we got late season trail cam pics of them, So I think we run cams later than a lot of people, but I feel like other people run cams earlier than us. So, but we're still running cams hard in December and January, where most people are probably not running cams near as hard. I think, I don't know, but that's what I feel like. But you get that bachelor group, more than likely you're going to get to see the bucks that live. You're going to get to see those 3-year-olds you're looking at, see what they got, and that's a positive if you know that buck's going to stay in your area. But don't always bank on a buck staying in an area when he could get forward and completely change everything. We've seen it.
Yeah,
So,
and to bounce off what I was saying there with Magnum and Huffy, like they were 2 miles as a crow flies. They were 2 miles away from where we were on the summer range. So definitely matters if that buck's gonna stay around or not. Or if you got the room to run, then you're always in the game. So flipping back here to a negative is something that we just talked about before the podcast is the cost of batteries. So now some cams, you got to run the high dollar lithiums in it for it to even operate right. You just can't go out there with the regular alkaline batteries. You got to have the best, which is, the more expensive. So the cost of batteries starts to adds up, especially when you start running over 8 cams. Some cams take 8, some cams take 4, some cams take 12. Like, it just depends on what camera you like and what you like to use. Definitely 4 batteries sounds good, but is that camera going to be reliable for you when it gets cold? Something to think about. And we're getting to the point to where later in the summer that we start, we're only requiring 1 battery change on average for a camera. Now, usually 2 if we're running on video, but if we're just running a 3-shot burst on a trail and the camera's, I'll say, hot, like it's a pretty good spot, and we're leaving that puppy to soak, usually like late October when we're in that area hunting, we're going to swap out the batteries because it's going to be usually 40% is where we like to change. And that's one thing I like about Exodus cameras. It gives you that battery percentage right there on the display screen for you and let you know. And I don't like to run much lower than 40 just because we're getting to that time of the year where it can be below freezing. And we're more than likely going to be running them Energizer Industrials in those cameras at that time. And that would be the point in time where we would make the decision like, okay, we're either going to run another set of Industrials in here, or if we really need this camera to be good and last us through, shed season, like that's the deciding factor. Are we going to shed season, or are we going to pull this when season's over if we're going to go to the Industrials in the setup or not? So negative, the cost of batteries getting hella expensive on the 30 plus, shit, probably 40 plus now. Well, you had a couple
35
gone.
or so.
Yeah, 35.
I think you got some stolen. One thing I'll add on there is people are like, well, I only got, 5 cams, or I only got 3 cams. When you're running them early, say you're running them now, you're going to be changing those batteries right before season. So say you're running a cell cam in an area that you don't want to go into for some, you don't want to be in there. If you run that cam now, you're going to have to change those batteries before season. You're going to have to go in there and change those batteries anyways. Now, if you make a big sweep, you have all red cams and you pull your cards, and right before season, and you can put camp batteries in there. I don't see that as such a negative, but more than likely, if you're running them now, you're probably going to miss the most important data close to season because that cam's going to be dead and you don't even know it, and we've had that happen to us where you get to a cam, you're like, well, shit, this thing died in September, and I don't have any
September
data
10th.
off it, and you're like, damn it, now this thing is pretty much useless on hunting wise. But if you're hanging that thing in August, it's going to be, when you pull it right before season, it's going to be working.
Yeah.
The batteries are going to be good. Even if you're getting sun picks, even if you're getting grass picks every now and then, your battery is more than likely going to be solid enough because they didn't stretch for that 3 months before, and I feel like that's worth bringing up. If you do want to run them early, I would say that, say you're running them deep on public somewhere you can't get to, maybe you should check it a month before season to make sure the batteries are good, and then check them again right before season if you're gonna do that. I feel like we've been burned a lot on dead cameras when we actually need the data off them early.
Yeah, I would say right when Cody started talking about that, I was like, man, we're not speaking out of just of something we heard. Like, we lived this, and we're so jacked to go pull that cam, the weekend before opening day, and we got burned on a camera that died September 3rd because of our own dumbass fault. We're worried about a buck that probably isn't going to stick around, probably have no shot at killing, but we got cool velvet pics of him. Like, yeah, but, what does it do? But that goes right into my next point here of a positive, and I wrote down, velvet is cool.
Yeah.
Velvet is cool. Like, I mean, it should be the eighth wonder of the world. How can something like that grow, over an inch a day, according to the scoring, and especially if you get attached to a buck and you have history with that deer, and you can get on mineral or bait and, put the story together from March all the way through, November, watch him grow, watch him change. You got, literally, when they say thousands, like in that scenario, you would have thousands if you had, even 2 years of history with that deer. So many pictures, and that would be pretty cool. And just to see, but like for us, man, that deer could disappear for 2 weeks, go off in a cornfield and hang out, not come by, and then next thing you know, you're like, shit, he's got junk this year, and you had, no idea. You didn't see it slowly popping out because he was there on Wednesday, he was there on Thursday, missed Friday, he was there Saturday morning. Like, we can go a couple weeks without seeing a buck, and then he shows up, and you're like, man, that don't even look like the same deer. Or, he's really blowing up this year. So velvet's cool. It's everybody's fresh in summertime, getting fired up for deer season. It's go time, and the buck's growing. They know they got something out there to chase worthwhile, and it's exciting time.
It is. Velvet is cool as hell. I love velvet pics. Watching them get bigger, knowing that they're there, knowing what's out there, it is super, super cool. There's nothing better to really motivate a guy than getting a big deer repeatedly in the summertime, where you're thinking, man, I might have a shot at this thing. And then, you're wondering, how big is he going to get? Man, he looks pretty solid now. And you're trying to play your mind out. Like, is he going to be a 10? Is he going to be, is he going to have trash? Like, what's he going to do? Is he going to throw that G4? Like, Westside threw those G4s so late as hell, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, he's an 8 again. He's an 8. And threw a little shitty G4. I'm like, he's a 10. He's a 10. Nice. I'm like, hey, we're cool.
Man, I remember a couple of times getting a big velvet buck on cam and kind of shitting my pants because I know I didn't have the postseason scouting in like I should. And then come summertime, got caught with my pants down, giant on cam, got me all fired up. And then I was like, damn it, I missed, the good 2 weeks to be out there and get some intel and learn from that and move forward. I'm going to go with a negative here. You're just going to have more intrusion. Like, it's not a make or break deal so much at this time of the year, but I mean, you are out there and you're amongst all the shit. I got later on in the list, poison ivy, all the other shit, ticks, all that shit's out there all the time. And I used to be really good against poison ivy, but now the last 5 years, man, I ain't been worth a shit against it. And you've seen, well, both of our ankles have actually gotten smoked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Out there trying to do
that
the summer
white
thing.
Shit, dude, stay away from that white.
Oh,
those
yeah.
white flowers. Don't get in those white flowers.
It's like
shit.
it's like a burn.
Yeah, it's like an acid burn. But
So
yeah, one thing I want to say about. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna wrap it up. More intrusion is not detrimental as it would be, later in the year, but it is intrusion.
Yeah, and then I'll add some to that. You might have this on the list, but it's just like that one year we were going hard early. We were burnt out when it mattered. We were just done running cams when it was important to actually run cams. When you run that many cams, that many areas, and you're like pulling you're pulling cams every week because this one's been soaking a month. Now this one's been soaking a month because you set that a week later, then you set this one, and it's just like a never ending thing. Then by the time you pull all of them, you're back to starting. They've already soaked another month and a half. You're back to pulling the one you pulled the first time. And you just get tired of running cams, and then you get lackadaisical on, well, I'll switch the cards. Oh, I forgot the cards. I'll switch the cards and we'll do that. And then you got the wrong card in there. And, oh, well, won't check this one. I'll just skip it and get the closer one. And then now you got one back there that's not working because you didn't check it and it's getting close to season. And you just get tired and you get more lazy because you were jacked up. Now, what cams have big deer on are the ones that you're focusing on, and the other ones you're kind of putting in the back burner, but those could be your most valuable cams by the time season gets here and after the shift, and you're not focusing on them. You're focusing in these areas. You're in there when you pull the cam. Now you're thinking about, you're wasting time in this area about, well, man, I can hang here. And then you're maybe scouting the area where the buck is now when actually he might not be there. Definitely a lot of wasted time, setting yourself up to waste a lot of time and burn yourself out. If you're running a bunch of cams, if you're single, you don't have a bunch of kids and stuff, and you got plenty of free time, that's probably not a problem. But for us, it was like, all right, dude, we're going to wake up at 5 a.m. We're going to be out there when the sun's rising. We're going to pull cams. We're going to be back by 9:30 when the kids are up and going, so we can spend the weekend day with them, and you do that every weekend, you're like, fuck, you got to pull cams again. Like it sucks.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, though. You start focusing on them cams with the big deer, and then, your most valuable cam when it comes time. And that's how you end up with a dead camera on September 10th. And you're out there the 29th pulling the bitch, and it's been dead because you ain't been focusing on it.
It's on your third property, and you pulled it. Oh, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to worry about it. And then, you don't go back there and it's been dead because you're focused on these other cams and you don't want to make time to go in there. One thing else I want to add is I feel like in the summertime, we're just constantly moving cams for no reason. Like, no buck here, move, no buck here, move. We know there's going to be a buck there later on, but we'll give it like 2 weeks and we're like, okay, just like a mobile cam.
Yeah.
You're like, gosh, there's just nothing here. I got to move it. But like when I hung Pickles cam, there was not shit there for a long time, and then Pickles showed up where he was supposed to be. Like you're setting yourself up to be like, damn, I got to move this cam, even though it was good last year.
More
that
intrusion.
Buck's gonna show up 2 days after you moved it. You know?
Yep.
So
more intrusion. This is something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but it's definitely a good plan to have. Time to locate them doe groups. Make sure that them does haven't shifted on you or the neighbor come in and wiped out, a nice 4-pack for you. We had that happen to us.
That. And that devastates a place.
Yeah.
Guy comes in, kills 5-6 does. You're like, oh, no big deal. But
that next year, that year after that, yeah.
You got 2 in there. You're like, what the fuck?
And
where
this
does that?
Locating these doe groups, because we don't know 100%, but we're feeling like that these does aren't shifting like these bucks are. These does are pretty well content with where the hell they're at, and they're going to be there for the duration of the season. So one thing that really jumps out at me that, backup plan is when it's hot in the rut, we're getting our ass kicked on rutcation, 16 days straight on public. We're scrambling around because it's hot. The bucks aren't moving. We're not seeing many deer. And we just started going through like the memory bank of where we ran camps and where we've had these doe groups early in the summer and earlier in the season. And then we go to that area because we know that them does are still most likely going to be there. And then we go and sit on the North Green food source. Boom, does up there. So it's something that I think gets overlooked, and it is something that you can throw a red cam out there and, you don't have to burn up a nice high-dollar cam if you don't want to. Just get something that'll get some pictures and get it out there, and always have that as the backup plan when the rut comes around. So
that cam that I pulled, the last one that I pool that we ran all year.
Mhm.
That doe group that blew at us, that's to the south of where we set up for crisscross.
Yeah.
They were on there repeatedly all year. 3-pack, 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 just constantly in and out, in and out, in and out, feeding there. Their bed, we know where their bed, just right down there. And they were there all year. So next year in my mind, I'm like, man, if a guy can loop around and get on them does on the downwind side, like on a north, a straight north, might not be we might be missing a lot of shit going downwind of them, and we're hunting up, and trying to get the crosswind on them. But they're there, and they're coming out and going to that cam in daylight multiple times. So we know they're there, and they're there all year and never left. Like you said, those does, I feel like they have an area that they like to be, and unless they're switching very heavily for a food source, those does know the safe area to be, and that's where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
They have their fawns there, then they're going to stay there with their fawns if they survive all year. And that's what it was. 3-4 pack all year, and they're hitting that scrape, and other bucks are hitting that scrape. And those does probably all got bred by Crisscross or West Side. Like that's the only options they had, pretty much. Yeah.
Hopefully them bitches ain't as smart as West Side.
Yeah.
That's a lot of more ass kickings coming our way.
three bucks out there that look like Crisscross. You're like, okay, this is cool, but man, I need something else.
Yeah.
Give me some width out here, bro.
Right. I'll go with a couple negatives here. You're gonna have wear on cams. Like them components wear out, man. And I mean, unless you got the 5-year no BS warranty on a product like Exodus does with their trail cameras, that stuff can really turn around to bite you. You're expecting to have a camera for, hopefully 5 years. And if you don't have that, man, then next thing you know, you're buying a camera instead of being able to buy batteries. Or it's just
how many cams we lost to summertime ants.
That was my next point, is ants and heat.
Ants, bro.
Exodus has a video on their YouTube about helping prevention with ants, and it's a very helpful video to watch. So I would highly recommend that. But yeah, wear on your cams. The components, they get hot. They're out there, and you got ants to deal with. They can get in there, and they can mess with your sound if you're running video. The heat's not good on them. Can stick with the infrared sensor, and you have super pink pictures sometimes you have black pictures. These cams, as flawless as a lot of these cameras work, they still are a mechanical device, and shit wears out, man.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the earlier you put them out, the more risk you have of losing one, theft or damage, or it floods some area. You're in a swamp and it floods and you lose it like that. Most of the time in the fall, that place isn't gonna flood. Later in the year. So
another negative here is we've kind of briefed on it here, but getting attached to a summer buck and then he's just gone. And one thing about that is, when he's gone, you don't know what happened to him. Yeah, I mean,
just moving shit around like crazy.
Yeah, you get out there, then you start doing dumb shit because you're attached, and just like we've talked about doing dumb shit with West Side, you just out there doing dumb shit, and I feel
like we're gonna kill that deer this year. I feel like West Side
just for no reason.
Give me 9 years old, just cruise by. He's got a 4-corn on one side.
Yeah, there you go.
Just murder him.
So, and this is something that we've kind of really stepped back on last year, is not being too attached to a deer. And West Side was one of them deer that I was super attached to, but last year didn't give really two shits about him. Went in a couple hunts after him just because he was showing up and had a good possibility to shoot him. But as far as like dedicating assets for that deer, absolutely not. and that's because you get burned on a buck out in a bean field in a nice spot, overlooked, just looking big as hell out there. You put the cameras
Looking
in there.
wide, fresh as hell.
You put the cameras in there. He's bedding right in front of the camera. He's standing there eating a bush for over 30 minutes in video. Like
I'm all over him.
He's doing he's doing everything you want him to do in late August and the first 2 weeks of September, and then the shit starts getting squirrely.
Scrapes.
Yeah, hitting the scrapes
We got
just like you
awesome
want.
videos of him hitting scrapes.
Guys, it was you wouldn't think there's no way we didn't kill that deer in the first 10 days of October. I mean, it's just crazy. So getting attached to a summer buck and then him just
2 miles
disappearing.
away.
Yeah, just him disappearing is if you got a 40-acre piece, like you got no shot, bro. I'll just break it to you right now. You got no shot. But
wait till the rut.
I just say
chance.
because I was trying to think of the first day that Michelle's drop time buck come back in November. I want to say it was like the 20th or something. They were back for like that 3 to 4 days, and then he was gone for another 3 weeks, and then finally late December he started showing back up regular like he had been. But you're gonna have to wait an assload of hunting time. Everybody else out there banging away trying to get on it, and he's gonna have to make it through, man. So it's a lot of hunting, long time out there, and then I'll go to a positive. We just kind of talked about this also on another podcast. Is habitat improvement. If you're out there, you can be doing some stuff and to improve the life of the deer herd. And one of them can be like you putting it in a water hole for the summertime, and you put the camera over it. And then obviously you're out there if you're in a bait mineral state, you can be out there feeding them, and of course you're gonna have the camera over that bad boy. But being able to improve their life any way you can is always a good thing, and it's just gonna mean bigger, better, healthier deer, more meat, bigger racks, hopefully. You got anything on that there, boss?
No, I think that's like I said, that's a pro. You can get out there. You're gonna have a reason to go out there and pull cams earlier. Maybe you can tweak some stands a little earlier since you're already out there. Like you said, maybe you can do some management work, and maybe you can scout a little bit earlier in between when you're pulling cams. You can maybe I'm going to go up here and hit this ridge, or maybe I'm going to check what this food source is, or it gives you more time in the woods to do that kind of stuff.
Negative here is we hang a lot of our cameras in the timber, especially on the public land, so we're not much on the actual side of a bean field or edge row of a cornfield, something like that. So, and there's not much view in the timber. We have noticed that some of the more open timber, the deer will hang out there in the summertime. So that does help that they do like to get that as much airflow there as they can, we feel like. But after the summertime's over and the shit starts changing, like they're not even anywhere remotely close to that open timber. And back in the good shit, you're not going to be able to get a very wide view of your camera most times. Like it's going to be a tight-knit go around in there. So that's kind of a negative because, most cameras now can shoot way the hell out there, and you're not being able to reach that full potential of the uses of that camera. And then another negative here is Cody kind of touched on it, is you have to stay organized longer, and you're going to get sloppier over time. Maybe not so much in the summertime, but that summertime's going to affect your sloppiness in the later part of actual hunting season. We've lived it. We've done it. We've been burned by it. So that organization is key, especially when you get up over the 8 to 10 camera mark and you got multiple cards, and they're not all cell cams. You got some rig cams out there too. It's something you have to be very mindful of and be very tactful on your plan and execute your plan every time you go out there. I got 8, well, I guess I took some cams, but I got 8, 10 of your cards at my house still. And that's just part of that sloppiness. Like, oh, hey, we need to do this. We need to get this done. But that just goes like you get off work early and you jet out there and I'm still working or doing whatever I got going on. And shit like that happens. So I know not everybody hunts with two guys on the same property, or you might be out there just banging away by yourself, and you don't have to worry about that. But that is, you still have to be organized and you still have to execute your plan for 6 months instead of 4.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot until we're talking about we're running a bunch of cams, and if a guy runs, I think if you run 10 cams, you're going to get sloppy on a few of them. You're not going to check them as often. You might let the batteries die on them. It's easy to get them started. It's hard to maintain all of them through the whole entire season. I feel like it's easy to get them hung in a spot and be like, okay, yeah, this is good. It's hard to check them all. Like, we have cams that we're just like, okay, we're not going to check this thing at all year. We know that. Like, it's there, and that's it. It's just part of the tree now for a year. Like, I'm not coming back. And I feel like summertime, you can't be like, I'm not coming back to this thing till February, because you're gonna. There's not a chance in hell it's gonna be working.
No,
if you hang it in
no.
October, you're like, yeah, okay, I got a chance here to make this happen. But if you're gonna run it 4 months before October, 5 months before October, that's half a year, damn near. I mean, that's a long time for a cam to run, and then you expect it to run all season. It ain't gonna happen. So that's just what blows me away. Like, there's some guys that run cams all year around.
Yeah, that's
like, and I'm like, I don't have the drive to do that. I just cannot physically do that, where I would run a cam all year round, nonstop. If I had private property with like, I could drive a full around and pull cams, yeah, give me something to do, I'd probably do that, but
I thought you were going to say a 20-foot tall fence.
Yeah. Well, that would help too. I would know it would be there,
Right.
So, as long as there's no holes cut in by a guy named Homie, I'd be in good shape.
Yeah, I know, that damn guy. Or I think if you could feed, like, that would change if you ran. Because, I mean, you'd have, 3 stations on your property, most likely, 2 to 3.
You're going to be going in there to put feed out anyway, so why not pull a card?
Yeah. At that point, I think it's a different level. But for us, like, I don't even know where to tell you to put a camera in March, other than over a bait pile.
Yeah. March. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
I'm so burnt out from season at that point. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I just
got all my notes composed from postseason scouting. I'm thinking about a little bit of a plan, but I'm not doing nothing until July.
Yeah.
Last positive here is you can learn some behaviors off a buck, like I talked about earlier. West Side being a loner, you can know if a buck is gonna be running with another buck, some shit like that. See if he likes to be in an area on a certain wind, maybe.
See if he's aggressive on scrapes and shit.
Yeah, see if he's hitting the scrapes. Some stuff like that you can just be mindful of. Might not help you kill him or not, but just like, if we go into hunt West Side, that's probably going to be the only buck we see. 90% chance only deer we see. But if it's the right deer, which obviously is a good thing, but, you're not going to go out there and see 12 deer. So that's just something you can pick up because he's always by himself.
Yeah. And you don't fight. No. He's not aggressive, and he's by himself.
Nope. And then, obviously, the biggest negative here you got is you got a daylight buck out there and you can't even hunt. So that's a huge negative. Like, if you got a daylight buck out there, like, you need to be out there hunting. But all summer long, it is be daylight as hell out there, and then next thing you know, October 7th, ain't shit out here in these woods.
Ain't shit out here till I shit out here.
Yes.
My biggest negative is you run the cam all year, you're putting the work in, and you're on this deer, and then, you know, he disappears, and then someone else kills him, like right off the rip. You know, you're like, damn, the last 3 months of me running cams, strategizing on this deer when I couldn't hunt him, trying to make a plan, maybe trimming shooting lanes and all this shit to get on him. He's on someone else's property and they kill him. Now you're like, okay, I got to start making a plan to go after a different buck. Now, if you're getting pictures of that deer in September, like, I feel like after the 15th of September for us, that's a huntable deer. You know, that is a deer that we're going to have. He might not be there all season, but he's going to be there on and off, you know, and once you get past that, you know, so I feel like you put your cams out in July, you maybe pull them in August, then you see, okay, what lived? Now your brain's thinking, okay, this deer lived. You're trying to put the pieces together. It gives you a little bit of time. Then you go back out there, that last card pool. What am I working with, right? What do I got going on? That's when you're like, I didn't waste 3 months, 4 months of time on a deer. I maybe wasted a month, and now I got to realize this, it ain't going to happen. But I don't know how many velvet giants I've got that I've never seen, that the other people have killed, that aren't even on the property. Like, you get one pictures of them and they're not even on the area. And then when hunting season comes around, you're dead set on this one giant velvet buck, right? You're dead set on them. And then season comes, here comes a buck that transitioned, that's bigger, or that you have history with. And that buck that you're so dead set on for the last 3 months vanishes, because not maybe he's still there, but he vanishes from your mind because you're thinking about this new buck that showed up. You know, the stuff changes so fast that it's not worth the effort to put in on a giant, because the potential for another giant to show up, that especially if you know something shows up later in the year.
Right.
Like Magnum. And we would be on a deer, be like, oh yeah.
Oh man. My phone just died on Cody, so he was getting ready to say something about Magnum, but I guess that's gonna have to hold on here. So I apologize for that, but we did this is our second podcast here of the night, so I tried to squeeze it through, but just didn't quite happen. But we appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully you guys picked up a tactic or two, or this is definitely, these negatives here outweigh these positives on this list, and that's why we've been going later and later and later into the summertime for we get our cameras out there and get fired up. I know a lot of people like getting the velvet pics, and a positive of that was velvet is cool, but it's just we're trying to be more useful with our time, with our jobs, with our wives, with our kids, getting into sports and stuff. So we got to be more thoughtful with our time, and also the price of everything, obviously everybody knows, is going up, so that's playing into it to a part. But we're looking forward to this year, seeing what's going on out there. We know PT made it, Cody's buck, that he's going to try to target. Trailer Park's still out there, I believe. We had pictures of him late January, so pretty sure he made it. No sheds of him that we've discovered, so it'll be throw cameras out in August here and hope and pray that he shows up. So appreciate you guys listening, tuning in every week here. It means the world to us, and try to do the right thing, leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.